Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome voters. I am your host Disco. You can call me my Disco. And yeah, welcome to a brand new video on the Purple Disco Elections YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the House of Representatives today. Now, it's 2022. Democrats have the presidency. They control the House and they control the Senate. This is one of the smallest margins in history. Smallest House margin and the smallest Senate majority. This is the smallest Senate majority they could have. It's a 50-50. There's only 100. What's weird is that this kind of reminds me of 2002. Let me show you how. In 2002, they also had one of the smallest House majorities as well. They had a 50-50, but they had a 50-50 as well. Republicans controlled the White House, so it automatically went to them. Therefore, Vice President breaking the tie. But in 2002, they gained seats because of popularity. And could that be this year? Could that happen? Well, I do not know. We knew the Senate, after the Dobbs decision, the Senate has changed to be in favor of Democrats after the Dobbs decision. That seems to be more on track. But the House seems to be getting narrower and narrower. Look at this. At the beginning, in June, it was not even possible. In June, yes, it looked to be very much so that they're going to lose the House. They were got a very much chance of losing the House back then. There was special elections not going their way. I mean, in Texas, they gained in 34 a usually strong Democratic seat. Now went to a Republican, conservative Republican, I mean like Trump style, for the first time. That is huge. That is very huge. I also like to point out that the Texas 34th district was 4 days after the Dobbs decision, so the Dobbs decision didn't have an effect because Texas has one of the harshest voting restriction bills in the country. That also might have an effect. So, where do we begin? So back in June, this was right before the Dobbs decision. So they had a 14% chance of winning the House, Democrats, and 86% chance for Republicans. Things look good. It's their year to shine. What we've noticed is that here, let's go for internet. When did Roe v. Wade get overturned? June 24th. What was weird is that it looked to be good, but then once 26th hit, boom. You notice? Look at their odds. Look at their odds. Their odds got worse and worse, but then their odds getting better and better. This is time and time later, and now they have a 26% chance, a 12% better chance than before. Now it looks like it looks up for contestant right now. Popular vote margin, the 2020 House of Representatives election. Here, let's put it in perspective. In 2018, it was a landslide. It was about a 9-point popular vote for Democrats. Then there was about a 3-point House popular vote percentage margin for Democrats again. Put that in perspective with some gerrymandering and some other factors as well. That's huge when going to a 6-point victory. At this rate, if you were talking about a 6-point popular vote victory for Republicans, you'd be looking at a very good chance of a 240-seat majority. That would be huge. But the dates are at the bottom, if you can see right here. June 24th, Dobbs decision. As the time goes, it starts getting lower. A bit of a, oops, my apologies. Getting lower and lower. Under 3 points. And now it's under 2 points. Now it's under 3 points. We're in September. Their poll numbers the poll numbers or the margin of victory should be steady for Republicans, even maybe getting greater. That's not happening. It's actually getting worse for them. What are the factors? Well, Biden's popularity. Well, Biden's popularity is getting better. Back in the beginning of his administration, he was doing okay, but then, as any other usual president, he started getting worse and worse and worse. But Dobbs' decision kind of turned that around, and the Inflation Reduction Act, now you're talking about the idea of having a single-digit approval rating. That has not been seen in a while. So yeah, Biden's popularity has shifted, has helped the Democrats maybe even win the House. Well, it's also been helpful for Democrats. What's also been a kind of a good time to see moment is Alaska. And yeah, a bunch of other states as well. Sorry, I'm stuttering now. I just did this. Okay, I had a text. My apologies. Yeah, some family going on. Okay, now where was I? Oh yeah. Could the House flip? Could the House go to Democrats instead of Republicans? There's a good chance. There's a very good chance it could go to Democrats, but there's also a higher chance of it going to Republicans. Right now, I got a forecast for Republicans. We do not know whether it will go for Democrats this year. Yet this would be the 4th time in 50 years if it does go to Democrats, that the Democrats would gain seats. They cannot lose. If they lose seats, they would lose only one, because it's a 218 majority, and they know they have 220, somewhere around there. Well, in Florida's 20th district, this wasn't. I think these are all in order. Yeah, I think these are in order because this is where it started. Texas 34th. This is about 3 or 4 days after. No. Yeah, this was like 10 days before the Dobbs decision, and yet Maria Flores won against Daniel Sanchez. Daniel Sanchez is a recognizable name. Now, what triggered everything was. This is where I got confused. My deepest apologies. This is where I got confused. Now, Nebraska's first. Now, to put it in perspective, I'm going to use Politico as a, because they track redistricting. So if we go to Nebraska, so this was taking place with the new map. Nebraska's first district. This is false, I believe. This is not true yet. This is not. No. Because if you actually look on the presidential scale, this actually went to hit Trump by 14.9. So somewhere around the same margin. But then look at the shift from a 15.4 district to an 11.2. 11.2. And we'll go to redistricting on the Washington Post, because I know there's controversy around that, but hey, we gotta look at some maps. You'll see what I mean by this. Okay, so the darker blue means more Democrat voters, the darker red means we're more Republican voters by counting. Now let's go for the old map. Current districts right now, this is Omaha. This is the first district. You can see Lincoln is the biggest population center, and is with the most toss-up voters, so along with Omaha. I think these are like rural areas, more suburban areas, and this is more suburban/rural. But then you put the new map in, what does that do? Look at this. It gets this part of the district in, and this goes into more rural areas, defecting more Democrat voters. What does that do in a general election? Well, that kind of backfires a bit. But I'm wondering, is this the cause of the map? Or is this because of the Dobbs decision? I do not know, and I'm still wondering, why is this margin so small? For a district that Trump won by 14 points, or 11 points in this new map, and we're a district that Republicans have been heavily popular in. I mean, we're talking like no change. This is the first, they have not seen a Democrat ever in their lifetime. The closest they have, this is, look, 70, 11. This is a phenomenon. This is something like 16, 40 in a blue wave year, 42 in a red wave year. Okay, and now we're going into the map that we could use and that we're using in 2020.
36, then the Republican Revolution, 37, not as much, 38 in 2016, then a blue wave hits, 20 points, which is really good. Then a bad year for Democrats, but they still won the presidency, 21 points. Truth is, this has been a heavily Republican district. And it will probably continue to be heavily Republican. But this result says otherwise. This is the smallest vote margin of victory for Republicans in this district since before 2000. This is something I am struggling to, well, I'm not struggling to comprehend, but it's something I'm like, whoa, this is new. Then we'll go to Minnesota's first. Now Minnesota's first as generally, we'll go back to 2010. This is very, very competitive. Trump slightly, I think Trump won this district. Yeah, Trump won this district in 2016. I do not have an exact margin, but he won this by 10 points, and then with the new map, 9 points, going to single digits. Now, the guy who won it in 2018, Hagedorn, I think I'm pronouncing that right or wrong, I apologize. He died in office, and he won by a 3-point victory, where Trump has won 10 points. And usually in a bad year, this would be a Republican hold, and this would be a huge margin of victory. But this ended up being single digits and within 5 points. You do not see that in a midterm election for Democrats. I would usually predict, oh yeah, a double-digit lead, probably about 12 points. To go to 4 points around that is remarkable. Is remarkable. It's weird. Then Alaska at large. Now there is many factors into this. There is many factors in it. This is the first Democrat to be elected since 1972. So making it around 50 years since Democrat. Now it was Maria Peltola, I think I'm pronouncing it right, my apologies, and against Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin was already at a disadvantage because one, she's deeply unpopular. She is unpopular. She was the governor. She has that name recognition, but she left and resigned during the 2008 campaign. She was elected in 2006. She was elected in 2006, and so by how much? She was elected by a 7-point victory. Not the greatest victory in Alaska for the time. But then she resigned because she was the vice presidential candidate with McCain, with John McCain. They ended up losing, and she ended up jobless. And so yeah, that already has a bit of a stigma in Alaskan politics. So she was at that disadvantage. The second disadvantage was that her stance on abortion. Remember, this was after the Dobbs decision. A lot of people in Alaska, a huge majority of them, are pro-choice, and Sarah Palin is anti-choice. Or is she, though? Is she, though? Is she, though? That'd be the key, though, if she... Okay, so yeah, she's an anti-abortion star, so she's already deeply unpopular in Alaska. So it wouldn't surprise me. It does not surprise me that she lost this. Well, actually, does it? No, it does. That's actually kind of weird. Sorry, I'm really out of practice with this. So yeah, for Alaska to elect to be so conservative and yet electing a Democrat who's not even centrist, or possibly centrist, but to go away from a Republican for the first time in 50 years and to choose a Democrat is shocking. And yeah, I find it really shocking to say that yes, a Democrat was elected in Alaska nationally and statewide. So yeah, this may have an effect on it, but there was a bit of factor. There was this one factor, Sarah Palin being so unpopular, that could hinder it. Well, and here's my evidence. Here's in the Senate in 2008. We'll go back 6 years. Okay, Stevens. Okay, Ted Stevens, a very, 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 very lifelong Republican, and he is very popular. Ted Stevens, he say here, incumbent Republican U.S. Senator Ted Stevens ran and won for 6th term in the United States. He faced perennial candidate Frank Vonderser, the Democrat nominee, journalist Jim Stakes, and Green Party. Ultimately, Stevens crushed his opponents to win what would be his last term in the United States in the Senate, allowed him to win the highest percentage of the vote in any of his elections. On the same night, okay, this is something different. This is something different. This part is different, and I do not. I have my wallet. Okay, phew. Now, jump back into here. A Democrat wins by the slimmest of margins. How much was it, though? I'm actually curious. By 1.2 margins. And McCain won this by like 21 points. Yeah, McCain won this by 21 points. Why does that happen? Well, Ted Stevens was unpopular at the time because he was convicted of felony charges, and if elected, he would be the first felony elected who was convicted to be in the United States Congress. Alaskans did not like that, and they ousted him. So yeah, that's just an evidence that just shows that yes, if you have some unpopularity, Republicans and Democrats in Alaska, a lot more specifically Alaskans, will see that and go a different direction. Now there are other ones. I will not go to India in a second because that's irrelevant and will be elected. The new one will be a new representative will be elected on November 8th, 2022. I was actually out of India at the time. It was a few days. I actually was in the same town just a few days before. So I send my condolences. So yeah, we'll move to New York now. We have to shift our attention to New York. Now, New York's 19th. Pat Ryan won the election by around 3 points in a district that is widely competitive. To put in perspective, Biden won it by not much. This is the old map, by the way. So this still has Biden only won it by 1.5, and in House districts, Delgado won it by 11.3, and then when the time was in 2018, the blue wave, Delgado won it by 5 points. Originally, this used to be heavily Republican. In 2012, when Obama won the district, Gibson won it by around nearly 6 points. Then a Republican wave, 29 points. Then in Trump time, 8 points. So this has shown to be a swing district. But then 2018 and then 2020, it flips. It doesn't flip in 2020, but it remains flipped. It does bring this narrative that, oh yeah, this was a district that could flip. But Dobbs' decision happened. Democrats hammered that. Republicans also hammered that. And they did not move their viewpoints. Pat Ryan, the Democrat, won by 3 points. A bigger margin than expected and a bigger margin than Biden, which is huge. Then we go to New York's 23rd. New York's 23rd is here. This is a heavily Republican district. It's 11.5 victory for Donald Trump. Then we'll go to the same scenario. Not that, that's an old map. This, I do not know why was this so competitive in 2012. I have to look that up. Then in 2014, when the Republicans won huge in 2014, Reid won it by 23.4. Then again, in 2016, Trump, 15 points. Then single digits, 2018. Then during a 2020, when Democrats were terrible in the House, Reid won it by 16. And so it actually does not surprise me now, thinking that in a time where Republicans are becoming so unpopular and that Democrats have finally had a few issues that they can unite against, they are winning a bit more. And this is single digits in a time where this is a heavily Republican district that was not supposed to be, this is not supposed to be single digits for Republicans. This is supposed to be double digits. And I think the special elections should worry. They should worry the Republicans, and they must change strategy if they want to win. The Democrats are going to have to find new ways to attack the voters. Their abortion and economy is going to be the biggest thing. But the main question is, though, are these special elections going to change the outcome, or do these special elections will have a significant impact on the special election, on the main election in November? I think so. I think this foreshadows it. So like in Alabama in 2017, although it was a bit of a fluke, it helped Democrats excel and win huge in 2018. In 2010 or somewhere around that time, right after 2009, Massachusetts had a Senate election. If you go to the Senate, they had Massachusetts has been heavily Democrat, has been won by over 30 points, and on a worst case scenario, won by over 20 points. But they have been very, very consistent at electing Republicans for the governorship. Then you go to I'll go to settings. No, that's the wrong thing. Offset. Off. Okay, we'll go to 2010. Okay, you see here? Oh yeah, this is something new. Then, Massachusetts elected a Republican for the first time. Scott Brown. But this was in a terrible time for Democrats. Democrats were unpopular. Obama was unpopular, and in a state where he even won it, where Kerry won it by 25. Obama won it by similar margin. Obama won it by 23, 27, and then Biden winning it by 33.5 is huge. Okay, I think this is irrelevant, but you get the point that Massachusetts has been is incredibly Democrat, and yet they elected a Republican during the 2010 times. During 2010, where the midterm election was about to approach, and it did foreshadow it. Democrats lost a ton of seats in the Senate. They lost a ton of seats. They lost even in Illinois, and I think Massachusetts foreshadowed it. They lost 6 seats, and then in the House was even worse. They lost 63 seats. And I think Massachusetts was that foreshadow that basically said, you are unpopular, get your shit together. And same with Republicans in 2017 and 2018 special elections. It showed that elections were becoming narrower. In Kansas, this district right here was single digits. This is a district where it's been heavily Republican, and it has gone like 30 points. And that wasn't the case in the 2018. So I think Republicans should be extremely worried. And Democrats need to be worried as well, because they need to get their shit together if they want to win. Republicans also need to get their group together. So yeah, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Remember facts before partisanship.